Hello, welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing really well. Today I thought I could bring you a full week of workouts and break down each workout of the week together. I'm basically training in a hybrid style and have been for the past few months, and it's totally changed my body, my mindset, just my whole life. Like, it's transferred into everything else. If you don't know what a hybrid is, it's basically a mixture of running, endurance training, and also lifting, strength training. And I think they complement each other so well. It can feel a little bit challenging, especially as one of my performance goals at the minute is to run a marathon in a couple of weeks' time. Since I did the half marathon in back end of February, I've just fallen in love with running, and I've not been as scared to put more pressure, not more pressure, but as scared since then to set more performance goals, which for the past year I didn't focus on too much. As you might already know, I've been running and doing more long distance stuff for over a year now. So in this video, I want to share how you can balance the two and share my workout split and also my recovery tips, which I think are super important, especially when you're doing a lot more volume with your training. Last year, I must admit, I feel like I just fell out of love a bit with my strength training side. Like, I was still doing it, but I think a lot of my workouts were a bit half-assed, and I just lost the enjoyment. Like, it's something that I've done for years and years and will always be my one true love and what truly changed my body. But I just think I'd let things just kind of fickle off and I wasn't enjoying my workouts. So since making changes this year, I've done a lot more hypertrophy training opposed to just strength. So again, the difference with hypertrophy and strength is fewer reps with a lot more weight, and then hypertrophy is more volume and reps. Last year as well, I feel like I'd really slacked off my upper body and I just lost a lot of definition, and I felt a bit softer looking, like I just wasn't as defined. So since implementing more upper body training, I feel like I've got not only leaner, but a lot stronger, and I just feel more agile and athletic. Let's get into the video anyway. I have a surprise for you at the end of this video, so keep your eyes peeled, but let's get into Monday's workout. First workout of the week, which is Monday's shoulder, triceps and ab session. I usually train legs on a Monday unless I've trained and done a long run on the Sunday before, so I just like to go with a fresh body part. Always like to start with a 5 to 10 minute dynamic warm-up using that bar, or you could also use a band and do those same shoulder movements. Just make sure that everything's activated, and also activating my core with some of these step backs, and then into some thread the needles. These are so nice and I absolutely love it when my back clicks. Moving into our first exercise, which is machine shoulder press. So I'm doing a 1 second pause at the bottom of the movement, and I just feel this a lot more in my shoulders, and also coming right down, like rather than stopping at halfway, you'll just feel this a lot more. I'm doing 5 sets of 10 reps, one being a warm-up set, just where you find your good weight that is hard enough. As you can tell, I'm in struggle city already, and we're 2 sets in. You want to make sure your last few reps are looking something like this, so that you are pushing yourself. And then on my final set, making sure I've worked up to a challenging weight, and I could only perform 6 reps, so I'll just do that with the challenging weight and then finish off with 4 reps, a slightly lighter weight. What I like to do with my upper body days is always start with my weaker area or part that's less developed. For me, that is my shoulders and triceps. And something else I've found that works really well with my upper body is doing a higher range of reps. So anywhere 10 to 15 reps. Next up, we have got tricep dips. I've been really enjoying training my triceps. Like I said, I feel like this was just something I totally neglected. I use a band. This is a real good hack if you haven't got an assisted tricep machine in your gym. So you just pop it, like double it up to make sure it's not super tight, like as in that you actually can move on the movement to get enough stretch, but also so that you can get a good amount of reps in. And I'm doing 4 sets of as many reps as possible, which is about 10 reps, and then working to 8 reps when I just can't really do any more. And it's almost like a slight forward lean, and that way you feel it a lot more in your actual triceps. When I first started doing this, it did take me a little minute just to get the hang of it and to really feel the movement. Like, you don't want to be flying up and down on this one. I also wanted to add, I don't do too much direct chest work because I had a breast augmentation, so they're underneath the muscle, which would mean if I was to do like heavy barbell chest press, I'm going to push them to the side and have a gap in the middle of my chest. So that is the reason why, but I would definitely recommend doing some chest work in your routine. I do sometimes do body weight stuff, but I just feel like it's quite uncomfortable for me personally, and I think that's important to mention. Next up is the cable tricep extension. This is another of my favourite tricep exercises and what I've seen some really good progress with, and I can really feel it, which is super important. So I'm doing 3 sets of 15 reps. I don't go too heavy with these because I feel like I can feel it more when I use less weight and I can actually control it, and I'm just keeping my elbows nice and tucked and making sure the movement's slow and controlled. Next up is this gorgeous superset, which is working our biceps. So I'm doing dumbbell bicep curls, 3 sets of 12s, and really focusing on the eccentric part. So that's the lowering part of the movement, which we can neglect and just fly through. And what I make sure I do before I increase the weight with any movement, I make sure I've played with different variables, like made sure I've gone with a real nice slow and controlled movement and then increase the weight rather than sacrificing form. I just think that's so important. Then going immediately into dumbbell single front raises. So I'm doing 3 sets of 12 reps of these. I love unilateral movements just so that you can see which is your stronger side. See if you've got any imbalances, and again keeping these nice, slow and controlled, you will have the juiciest shoulder pump after this workout. It's such a good one and I absolutely love this superset. And then just having a short rest in between and going straight into our bicep curls again. What I love about shoulder days and how I've been training at the minute is that my sessions aren't too long. So if I've got a double day, I don't make sure that my weight or strength session goes over 45 minutes. Otherwise, it's just not something that would be realistic to maintain. And I also wanted to add, training your upper body isn't going to get you big and bulky, and it's still such a big misconception. And the only thing that's going to get you bulky is if you're in a calorie surplus whilst you're weight training, or if you're doing crazy amounts of weight and super low reps whilst being in a calorie surplus. Like, that's the only way. Then we're finishing up with an abs superset. So I'm using a 10 kg plate. I absolutely love this, and doing some weighted overhead crunches back flat so that you've not got a huge arch and that you are engaging your core. You want to really imagine like you're squeezing and tucking everything in, like sucking your belly button right in and just squeezing, keeping it contracted and controlled. I'm doing 3 sets of 15 reps. You could also bend your knees if you find that a bit better for stability. And then going straight into body weight toe touches. These, again, just the most humbling things. You might only be able to do 3 reps. I go for as many reps as possible, which usually varies between 8 to 12 on a good day. But don't worry, if you can literally only do 3, do 3 and just build from there. Whilst we're training abs, let's talk about core strength and how important it actually is, because if you're anything like me, I've definitely neglected it, or I'll leave it to the last of my workout and it only gets about 5 or 10 reps, and that's me calling it a day. So this year, one of my big goals has definitely been to build my core strength. So building my abs actually from more of a functional perspective rather than just doing like a few crunches. So adding variables like weights and actually focusing on it rather than just thinking, oh, I'll just get all my core work from my compound lifts, and actually training it exactly like you would any other muscle group. So working it in different positions like shortened, lengthens, adding holds. I really notice the difference in my posture as well, and I just think it translates into your running, into absolutely everything, having a really good strong core. One rule, you've got to finish your upper body session with a little bit of posing in the mirror to check your gains. These biceps and shoulders were not like this only a few months ago, so if I can do it, so can you. You've just got to trust the process and to keep showing up for yourself. And then on non-run days, I like to do about a half an hour walk, so I aim for 10k steps still, just do some admin, and I like to do it in the morning so that it's done. A lot of my days at the minute are in front of my laptop working on projects, so if I don't get it done now, I find myself just cramming on an evening, which isn't ideal because then I just get no time to switch off. So it's Tuesday, which is a glute focused and quad day. Really been enjoying training my quads more and seeing some lean gains. Love me some of that. And I feel like I've clung on to my glutes a lot more this time round, like considering that I've been doing like 22k to 35k runs lately. they've not disappeared totally yet, but I'm starting with some activation. So starting with some cable kickbacks. I usually do one set of about 20 reps each leg. This is something quite new over this past few months that I've been doing, and I feel like just helps me feel my glutes a lot more throughout my entire workout. And then I do my warm-up, which consists of some hip swivels, some dynamic hamstring exercises, and just getting into my tight hips. Like, that is one thing from running that I've noticed, that I carry tightness more in my hips. And then this is an example of something that works really, really well for me, which is starting off with an exercise that I actually find the hardest, which is barbell single leg reverse lunges. So I put the hardest exercise first. So I'm doing 3 sets of 10 reps each leg. Another example of why you should choose exercises that work really well for your body. So I feel these so much in my glutes, like a lot more than other exercises, and they make me want to throw up. So that is why I put them at the beginning. I'm doing 10 reps on each leg, and they're just so painful. I'm watching this back and I'm just so grateful today is not a reverse lunge day, because yeah, they're really good, and I get DOMs for days after these. So I've been enjoying progressively overloading. So I'd put on the 10 kg on either side. This is me contemplating my existence and also having a little pep talk. Sometimes if I feel like my mind's just super busy, I literally say out loud, like, empty out my thoughts, and it's a psychological thing, but it definitely helps. And with this, just keeping it nice and controlled and leaning slightly forward, and that way you just feel it more in your glutes. But play around with your foot placement as well to make sure you can feel it really nicely. Next, we're moving into some barbell back squats. This is something that I've been enjoying adding back into my routine. Like, I feel like I'd had months where I just didn't really squat so much, and I love squats. Like, I think my body quite enjoys a good squat. I prefer to go for more time under tension and adding a pause at the bottom of the movement, and just making sure my form feels good and my hips aren't too tight. If I've ever got like tightness from running and whatnot, I just don't overload the weight so much that I'd just be adding stress that's just not necessary. Next up is something that I've been really enjoying. So rather than forcing myself to do a whole hip thrust setup every single leg day, I've been quite enjoying glute bridges, and funnily enough, I've seen more gains with less weight and adding like a pause at the top of this movement. Like, I feel it more in my glutes than I do a super heavy hip thrust that I end up just feeling predominantly in my quads. And I've just been enjoying my leg days more because I'm not having to set up a whole machine and put it away. And especially if I'm doing a lot more running and stuff, like, time is of the essence. I'm doing 4 sets of 12 reps here, and just making sure to get right to the top. Like, you want to get fully up and slow on the way down. Next, we're moving into eccentric leg presses. So this is where we're not going too heavy, as honestly you wouldn't be able to when you're doing an eccentric with this. It is so tough, but we're doing 3 sets of 12 reps, and I'm coming slow on the way down, so literally counting to 3 on the way down of the rep, and then controlled back up. I love a leg press because it's a lot less stress on your back, and one of the benefits of doing eccentrics is it develops more endurance by targeting the slow twitch fibers in your muscles. And I just feel these so much. And like I say, I've just been doing a lot of testing and finding this works really well. I think ultimately we can end up ego lifting a lot of the time, loading on all this weight, but our form's going out the window, or we're completing reps literally in seconds and not really doing it with much intention, and can't even feel the muscle that we're trying to work. So I'd always recommend, if you've got into this little loop, just bring things back to basics and slowing down your tempo, making sure your form is right, and that you're not like lifting on one side of your legs but not so much the other. Wednesday is back, buys, and a little bit of shoulders. So starting off with a dynamic warm-up, just getting into any tightness. These are such a good warm-up exercise, literally gets your whole body and especially your core. We're starting with nothing other than pull-ups. We're doing eccentric pull-ups. So this is where you jump yourself up. So take a bench or some sort of step, literally jump yourself up to the bar and then slow and controlled on the way down. We're aiming for 10 reps, but don't worry if you can do about 8 reps or just as many as you can. Even if you've got to start with 3, start with 3. You'll be surprised how quickly you increase your strength with these. I actually prefer these than I do doing banded assisted pull-ups. Like, I feel like you can just feel them a lot more in your back and makes it easier to progress. So if you're trying to get your pull-ups at the minute, definitely implement these. You know you're doing them right when it kind of feels a little bit like you're tearing your back muscles. Like, that is a sensation, and make sure that you're working the right parts of your back. If you want to build to this as well, like if you can't do one of these, you can do dead hangs. So that is literally where you just hang from the bar and retract your shoulders back. If you want to see that in another video, let me know and I'll pop that in. And then we're moving in to barbell bent over row. So this works really nicely into a bit of our traps, coming all the way down by our shoulders, and making sure your elbows don't flare out too much in this really, really helps. I'm doing 4 sets of 10 reps. This is another example of a perfect exercise that will help you get your pull-up strength. Next exercise is high cable rows. So if you don't have many back machines in your gym, this is what I usually go to. So I'll just recreate the movement of a certain machine, and your body doesn't know the difference. Like, don't worry if you don't have some of the machines that I have in my gym, for example, or someone else that you see. You can work the exact same muscle and recreate your own. So I just take a bench and then set my cable to the right position. So with this, you want to come all the way back, and if you can hold that, like, make sure you can feel that pinch in the mid part of your back so that you're working it. I'm doing 3 sets of 12 reps and making sure I'm stretching. So I like to feel that stretch when I'm coming up to the movement. Something else that can seem a bit funny, like you might look a bit weird, but it really, really helps, is actually closing your eyes and really making sure you can get that mind to muscle connection. And then we're doing a wide cable pull down variation. I'm not totally sure the name of this exercise, but it is a flipping real good one. Like, you can really feel this all in the mid part of your back, which I absolutely love. So I make sure I get that full stretch. So going to the top and then pulling down. And I'm doing 3 sets of 12 reps here. This is a really good staple to have in your back days. Today, I thought I could bring you along with me to a performance assessment with my physio, who I haven't been to see since I got locked in the back of that van, if you remember, like, was that in November time? And I'm sure I've got PTSD driving back down the same road that I got locked in the back of the van with for like 40 minutes or however long it was that was running. That isn't the reason why I haven't been back here since, but it just made me laugh. I had an injury, if you watch my videos back then, like an ankle injury, so that's what I came for, and I haven't needed to come back since, which is amazing. And then today we just thought we could do some performance stuff. Did talk about doing this a while ago, but I feel like now's a good time, especially as my marathon is beginning of April, so I just feel like it'd be good to look at things. I'm not actually too sure, like 100% what we'll be doing in this, which is why as well I thought it'd be quite nice to just bring you along and share any tips and tricks to improve your running, improve your speed, improve just anything performance related. And I think it should be quite interesting anyway. Alex is super knowledgeable, and yeah, I'm excited. He's also just, I think the gym, he's like opened a gym here, so it'd be quite cool to check this out.
Heel off, yeah, knees slightly bent still. Yeah, perfect. Happy with that? Yeah. We'll do 1 more. So 3, 2, 1, build. So relax. Before you go, right?
Yeah,
get
alright.
Yeah, just jump inside. Nice. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Feels really strange. I told you, it feels really weird. spend less time on the floor between each one. Still the same control, arms relaxed. Jump height was 28 centimetres, a big area that we can improve by just introducing some power training into your training, which will help running all-round performance. It'll actually improve your strength as well. The way that you absorb the force when you're landing is way more dominant on the left-hand side, probably because of the old right-hand side ankle injury, which is something that we need to revisit and build on. And then in terms of the way that you're pushing off, interestingly, it's not as different. So only 3% different on the left, or 3% more dominant on the left-hand side, which is good. Really good, really balanced. And then in terms of the single leg jumps, again, we see that's similar percentile in terms of where you sit in terms of averages that valid collect on here, but really good. It's only an 8% difference. You're actually more dominant on the right.
So after my physio, I went and did my 8-kilometre intervals. So this is where I do 1.5k warm-up. So this is running at a conversational pace, nice and steady, doing a 60-second walking rest, and then getting into my drop set, which is 2 reps of 1 kilometre at a tempo pace with a 90-second rest. Once I've done those 2 reps, going into 2 reps of 800 metres at a tempo, then doing 90-second rest, 2 reps at 600 metres at an even quicker pace than tempo, 90 seconds walking rest, and then going into 2 reps of 400 metres, which was not much further than a blooming sprint, and then 90-second rest, doing a 1 kilometre cool down at a conversational pace, or even a little bit slower. And that is my week 9 of 10 as part of my marathon training prep. So just to give you some context with my running and lifting, so I do 4 runs per week and then 4 weight sessions a week, which works really, really well. And about 2 of those running sessions are tempo, so I'll do some sort of intervals like this day, and then the other 2 are easy runs. So one is like a 5 or 6.5 kilometre easy run, that's just like a chilled conversational pace, and then the other is a longer run. So they've been varying from literally 15k to my longest one, which was 32 kilometres, and that is the furthest I'll run in my marathon prep. And then I just try and time it so I've got at least 1 rest day off a week, and then I'll double up my sessions, so start off with my lifting session first and then go into my run. So into Friday's workout, which is a lower body day, I have got a bit of tightness in my calf, so I'm just using this massage gun. This has been amazing for loosening certain muscles up, and I also like to use it if I'm wanting to warm up an area that's just a little bit tight. Really does help temporarily. So starting off with some eversions with a band. So this is literally just wrap a band around your foot, try and keep your leg as still as possible, like don't let your whole leg rotate, and you're just turning your foot outwards, and this just helps strengthen and work the smaller muscles in your foot to help with your running. What can happen with a lot of running injuries is that you just haven't worked enough of the smaller muscles or got enough strength in your calves to sustain like the amount of distance, and a lot of our running impact is going straight into our calves and obviously the smaller foot muscle groups, which can just be really easily neglected. Definitely something I've done. And then I'm going into some foam roller bridges. These are so humbling. Like, I was doing some holds here, and the way you feel these in your hamstrings, your calves, just everywhere, they look a lot easier than what they actually are, and you're just thinking about scooping right up and squeezing, engaging your stomach muscles. Then I'm moving into some single leg ones. You can kind of progress, so start with both legs and then move to single leg. I've definitely got a certain side that's a lot weaker, and then I'm just doing a little bit of rehab work as well on my calf that's tight. So as you can see, I was really struggling to do single leg calf raises. It's really nice watching this back, because today I've been absolutely fine doing single leg ones. Like, it's amazing what a few days can do. So I'm just doing some double ones and then slowing on the way down, like not flying down once I've raised up, which can be easy to do. Okay, into the main workout. So starting off with barbell RDLs, so keeping the bar as close as possible to my legs. You're just imagining shaving down your legs and hinging back, starting with a weight that feels comfortable but not too challenging, just to make sure I can feel it all in my glutes, and my glutes are engaged. Then I added 5 kg on either side. What I've actually been enjoying lately is keeping my hands closer to my knees, like not going as wide, and I can just feel this more in my glutes, as well as I've actually taken a narrower stance, so you're imagining hip width apart and then you're coming down with the bar, and then into some barbell glute bridges. My hips were a little bit tight, so I didn't want to go too heavy, but making sure I'm getting it right to the top, because you can sometimes just get a little bit half of a rep, like not go fully up to the top. I also really like calves glute bridges as well, if you could just whack a bench under there and again really feel this in your glutes. And I'm doing 4 sets of 10 reps. Then moving into leg press. So how I like to structure any glute focused day is I make sure I'm working my glutes in all of the planes of movement so that I can target all 3 glute muscles. So making sure to include a hip hinge movement, so in this it'd be the RDL, and then a squat pattern, so like a leg press or a back squat, and then an abduction, so a cable abduction, and that way I know I'm targeting my glutes in not only the shortened phase but also the lengthened phase. Finishing up with cable kickbacks, so turning my foot slightly outwards to target the glutes more. This really gets that upper part of your glute, which can feel harder to target, our glute medius, and keeping it nice and controlled, neutral spine, and just concentrating on getting that glute. I have to really concentrate on this one, and I find I can't go too heavy, otherwise I just don't really feel it where I'm trying to work. Saturday is a recovery day, so I'm just going to the sauna and reading my book, just focusing on taking it easy. I still like to get some sort of movement, so I'll usually just go for a walk if I'm not training, but having a rest day is so nice, just connecting with myself as well. And I like to do this before I've got a long run day so that I'm just nice and fresh. Sunday is my long run day. I absolutely love this because it's quite a chilled run. I keep my heart rate nice and low, which means you kind of feel like you can just go and go and go. Today I was running 22 kilometres. It's wild to think I was really struggling to run 4 kilometres what feels like 2 minutes ago, and now here we are. It's all tapering down, like I won't be running this distance until like over, like the marathon day, which is kind of reassuring because it was a bit crazy last week doing that 32 kilometre run. But I have really enjoyed the process, and I sometimes run on the treadmill. I can just put a podcast on and find time just goes a bit quicker, which is quite nice. So that wraps up this week of workouts. I hope you enjoyed this one and got lots of value. I have a surprise for you, which is this entire week of workouts in a free PDF down below that includes all the sets and reps. So you can just click the link down below to get that. And also, I'm working on something super exciting at the moment that is going to have a limited few hundred spots, so keep your eyes open for that. Can't wait to see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching.